Welcome to She Will Shine TV. My name is Danielle Price. On today's episode, we've got Bec Derrington from SourceBottle joining us. Now, SourceBottle has really transformed the way the media connects and interacts with potential sources, both here in Australia as well as overseas. And Bec will be sharing with us why PR is so important for small business. I hope you enjoy it.
I was working in the public relations sort of marketing industry, but just working in my own consultancy. And after I'd had the birth of my first child, and so I was looking for flexibility. And I found, though, the most frustrating thing about my industry was that because I was operating in lots of different little silos, I didn't often know the media rounds people that were relevant for my clients. And then I started to really challenge the whole way the public relations industry was working. You know, it was all about relationships for a long time. But then you had this great technology sort of emerging that was enabling crowdsourcing and all these other sorts of wonderful ways of connecting people. And I thought, well, what are we doing to embrace this as an industry? So I often say or liken it to being in a restaurant. So my industry, just say you've got these public relations professionals that are sort of either have great relationships with the media, or they don't have great relationships with the media, and they're spraying press releases out in a sort of spray and pray type approach, and it's really ineffective. But you know, for a while it's worked, and sometimes they've had success, so they've continued to perpetuate this very, very flawed model. And so often they don't necessarily know if it's the right public relations, if it's the right journalist that covers that area, or they don't have a relationship with them, as I didn't. You know, when you're covering so many different types of clients in different industries, you don't always know the nuances of every single journalist. So I thought, I liken it to a restaurant. So, you know, you, the journalist, is the restaurantee, the person eating, dining at the restaurant. You come in and you sit down at a table, and all the waiting staff put 100 dishes in front of you, hoping that one of them will appeal to you. You know, and it's inefficient, it's ridiculous when you really, they just want to look at a menu and say, this is what I want. And I thought, well, if you apply that to this industry, and you apply this sort of new phenomenon called crowdsourcing, really, why don't we start looking at technology enabling that better connection and facilitating that connection a little better? And that's really how the idea of SourceBottle came about. I thought, well, journalists and bloggers could call out for exactly the right source, the right person that we want. And I've got a sea of hungry, you know, eager talent, fresh talent that they could reach out to. And so it was this sort of chicken egg business that I knew would take time to grow, and it did. But I knew that if I just stuck with it, I could create this great community that would be so beneficial, and everyone would get a chance to get their stories told. Oh, PR is just, you know, there's always that sort of joke when you're at a party that really demonstrates the value of PR. So you're at a party, you've walked in, there's a guy standing in the corner who you find appealing. If you go up to that person and say, hey, look, I'm really hot, I would be the perfect date for you, seriously, which is what they sort of liken to advertising, you know, here I am. It's never as effective as if you went up on my behalf and said, see that chick babe over there, she thinks you're a bit dishy, and she is fabulous, you know, she's done whatever. So somebody else, the sort of credibility that attaches to public relations or to publicity is something that you can't get any other way. So if you've got a journalist saying, you know, a journalist with a big readership saying, or a blogger with a big readership saying you're an expert in something, their readers believe that you're an expert in something, and you didn't have to do anything to self-promote. So that's why it's so compelling, and that's why it's so important as part of the overall suite of things you do to promote yourself. Okay, so, you know, obviously I'm going to say one of the lowest hanging fruits in this whole scenario is to use a free service like SourceBottle, because you get free media leads and some of them might be exactly what you're looking for. It's a no-brainer, and I'm not saying that because it's mine. If it wasn't mine, I'd be saying the same thing. It's one of those ways you can get access to opportunities you wouldn't otherwise. So one is definitely sign up, and if there's another similar sort of service, go for it. Sign up for those sorts of free services. So that would be tip one. That's only what they call reactive media, or what I call reactive media. So that's just journalists looking for you when they need you. You really need to think about putting yourself out there and being proactive in terms of trying to generate publicity through a range of different tools. And one of the most effective ways to do that is pitching to relevant journalists or bloggers who you want to communicate with their audience. And to be really effective in pitching for these sorts of opportunities, is you need to be great talent. And for me, if you want to be great talent, you need to really stand for something. Own your niche, say, and put it out there. Sex it up. Basically say, if you're a nutrition expert and you're, gung-ho on paleo, then say paleo is the only diet that works. Or, lay it all on the line to really make sure that you get your message across. You become great talent. Journalists love you. You stand for something and they know what that is. So be great talent and use the tools and services that are available to push your message out. Pitch to journalists in a very personal way. The third thing you need to make sure you do is to embrace sort of social media. So, and not every social media platform, just the ones that are reaching out to your audience, where your audience are really sort of gravitating. For me, Twitter is the best because that's where journalists and bloggers and public relations professionals all play in the sandpit. They're my target audience, as well as a lot of small business, but they're the people that really amplify the opportunities for me. So I think if you're known for something, then you can embrace social media and be very, very consistent with your messaging, and that then translates to raising your profile. So, own your own hashtag, sort of create opportunities, do tweet chats, interview other people, just sort of make sure that your positioning is strong, and then utilize all of these great connection platforms to communicate and amplify that message to the sorts of people you want to hear you say it.